8 years ago, a desperate plea for help was dismissed as a prank. Little Daisy died a tragic death, and I, the emergency dispatcher, carried a lifelong burden of regret. 8 years later, I heard that voice again. Save me, I've been kidnapped. This time, I swore I would save the little girl at all costs. But the deeper I dug, the more I discovered that the killer didn't act alone, and Daisy had never known true love. Crimes can be buried, but that innocent soul is still waiting to be brought home. I am an emergency dispatcher. 8 years ago, I received a desperate call from a little girl. She said she had been kidnapped, but on the phone, her parents explained it away as just a child's prank. I believed them and hung up. The next day, the little girl's body was found. 8 years later, I received an identical call for help. Save me, I've been kidnapped. On my first day on the job, I received a strange call. Faint, hurried breathing echoed on the other end. I repeatedly asked the person if they needed assistance. After a long silence, a child's voice softly whispered, "Save me, I've been kidnapped." I was flustered. My colleague next to me seemed unconcerned. Just another mischievous kid. We get so many of these lately. Handle it quickly before we fall behind. The little girl introduced herself as 7-year-old Daisy. When I asked for details, her answers were disjointed and confused. Daisy wants to go home. Daisy doesn't know where she's floating. Sister, please help me. Just a child, I thought. I sternly warned her. Falsely reporting to the police is wrong. It wastes other people's time, understand. That night, East City experienced a widespread power outage and emergency responders were stretched thin. In the midst of the chaos, at the very last minute, the call was transferred to someone else. An adult quickly apologized. "I'm so sorry, she's just a mischievous child. Please don't mind her, don't be too hard on her." Over 60% of calls to the center were false alarms. After a few reminders, I hung up and continued my work. But the next day, a 7-year-old girl surfaced in the East Reservoir. Her face was so swollen it was unrecognizable. On her red overalls, the faint embroidered name read, Zhang Yinhe, Daisy Yinhe. It turned out the little girl hadn't been lying. It was truly her cry for help. The call came in at 11:43 p.m., while the time of death was around 1:00 a.m. Shortly after I hung up, the killer had acted brutally. I was the only one who heard the killer's voice. In a photo obtained from the girl's relatives, she had big eyes, braided hair, and was indescribably adorable. Now, on the autopsy table, her face was disfigured, her joints shattered. The sight brought tears to the eyes of even the most seasoned veteran police officer. That monster, afraid she knew how to swim, broke her legs before throwing her into the water. If only I had made the right judgment then, if only I had located her in time. But there was no if only. The regret gnawed at me. I attended her funeral. As soon as he saw me, her emaciated father rushed at me, screaming, "Why didn't you send anyone? My daughter clearly called you for help." Every word was like a hammer blow to my heart. "You indirectly killed my daughter." Yinhe had congenital intellectual disability and attended a special school. My boss comforted me. "Lynn, Yinhe's communication skills were limited. She even needed a teacher to remind her to use the restroom. Don't blame yourself. It was a systemic error." My head throbbed. Even with sound engineering, the killer's voice had a different local accent. Daisy and her family spoke with a Subay accent, while the other person spoke with a standard accent. If Daisy had secretly called and the killer had discovered it, he would have been flustered, his heart rate elevated. But he was perfectly calm, saying, "Don't worry, I won't be too hard on her." Calm, premeditated. During the call, I faintly heard the sound of metal clanging. Later, we surmised it was the sound of pliers and other tools being assembled. When the little girl called for help, the killer was assembling his weapon right next to her. He took sick pleasure in giving his prey a glimmer of hope, only to cruelly snatch it away. I looked up at the smiling photo of the little girl, my eyes welling up. The killer deliberately gave Daisy the chance to call for help. The case went cold. The investigation team made immense efforts but found very few clues. There were no cameras at the kindergarten, and that night, coincidentally, there was a power outage. It was raining cats and dogs, so it was impossible to see who had led Yinhe away. 2 months later, Yinhe's father committed suicide. It turned out many suspected the biological father was responsible. Neighbors often heard arguments about the expensive treatment costs. Teachers also reported that despite her developmental delay, Yinhe was very afraid of strangers. After her death, the insurance paid a large sum. He had bought a new insurance policy this year and his wife was pregnant with their second child. Surely, he planned to use his daughter's life insurance to raise a son. Unable to bear the public pressure, the father jumped from a tall building. I wondered, why do good people always have to clear their own names? Where were the devils hiding? Every night, as I closed my eyes, the innocent cry echoed, "Daisy wants to go home." I gently asked, "Where are you, Daisy?" "Are you close by?" "Here, right here," the little girl said, giggling. It was that very sentence that made me think it was a prank. If it was for money or revenge, why didn't he demand a ransom from the family? Why would the killer risk letting the little girl call the police? That call changed my life. I enrolled in the police academy, specializing in voice technology. After graduation, I returned to the emergency dispatch center. For 8 years, I always took night shifts, learned new techniques, and helped solve many major cases. The provincial team repeatedly tried to transfer me, but I always refused. My boss advised, "Lynn, you have to let go. You're new to the profession, don't judge your past self by future outcomes." I smiled, but I knew that devil would surely strike again. I told myself I had to persevere and wait, and I waited for 8 years. On the exact night of the 8th anniversary of Daisy's murder, the emergency line suddenly blared. The same date, the same time, my heart pounded as if it wanted to leap from my chest. A strange yet powerful intuition surged, as if years of effort, countless sleepless nights of waiting, had all been in preparation for this moment. I quickly picked up the receiver. "Emergency services, how may I help you?" On the other end was the trembling voice of a little girl. "Save me, I've been kidnapped." "I've been kidnapped, save me?" The girl, Grace, was attacked after her evening study session. When assaulted, she was completely helpless against the perpetrator, who dragged her into a car. Waking up with her hands and feet bound with steel wire, she stumbled to find her phone and immediately called for help. "Don't panic, I'm here with you. Where did your kidnapper go? Did you see his face?" The dispatcher's voice was gentle yet firm, exuding a strange, comforting power. Grace's panicked breathing gradually steadied to that rhythm, and her memories slowly became clearer. I couldn't see clearly. He was behind me, wearing a mask and a tight-fitting hat. Yes, he was very strong. He threw me into the car like a sack of potatoes. The little girl's voice choked. "When will the police get here? I'm so scared." "Can you trace my phone?" "He installed anti-tracking software on your phone. It'll take some time to bypass it." The dispatcher lowered her voice. "Grace, do you see any special structures around? Describe everything: architecture, colors, temperature, sounds, anything at all." The little girl understood that every second, every answer, decided between life and death. She gritted her teeth against the pain, ignoring the steel wires cutting into her skin. She stumbled to the window. In her blurry vision, tree shapes swayed in the thick fog. She tried her best to observe. There was a musty smell in the room, and outside it was drizzling and damp. As for colors, suddenly a flash of light from distant mountains. The little girl gasped. "A train just passed by, but it was so fast I think it was a cargo train." "You're doing great, Grace." The dispatcher quickly checked the data. The point of abduction was on Luoxian Road near the high school. A pickup truck took her. Based on the speed and traffic, she was still within the city. It was drizzling in 4 inner-city districts. Based on the echo, the place of detention likely had tiled walls, commonly used in food processing plants. Combined with the cargo train, I determined she was in the Jinfu industrial zone. "The police will reach you in 15 minutes at the fastest. I'll stay with you until you're successfully rescued, okay?" The words were like magic, transmitting strength. Now Grace knew she wasn't alone, not in this terrifying, silent space. The little girl clenched her chattering teeth. "But where did he go? He installed software, so why did he leave the phone for me to call the police?" The line went silent for a beat. The dispatcher's voice was stern. "For the next questions, you can only answer yes or no. Absolutely no strong reactions, understand?" "Yes," I slowly articulated each word. "The killer never left. He is currently in that very room." "No way," the little girl trembled, her heart pounding. "The room is empty. There's nowhere to hide." Holding her breath, the little girl stood still, trying to suppress the urge to turn her head. Behind her was an old standing cabinet, large enough to hold a person. The killer had been there all along. I focused all my attention on analyzing every faint sound in the earpiece. From the phone's static, I recognized the familiar sound of tools being assembled. The killer of Daisy was still present. I told her he deliberately left the phone to mentally torture her. "Now, pretend you don't know he's there. Try to untie your bindings and gather clues around you. Try to buy time, stay alive until we find you. I'll be with you until the very end. Trust me, I'm not the naive girl from 8 years ago. Today, I'll do everything in my power to save you." The little girl focused her strength on her ankles, trying to loosen the steel loops. Her skin tore with each movement. She gritted her teeth against the pain, yanked hard, then stumbled and opened the door. Outside was a long, pitch-black corridor, endless like a path to death. The little girl was extremely tense, her heart felt like it was choking in her throat. Just as she was in a panic from the phone in her hand, a creaking sound came from the wardrobe. Thump thump, someone stepped out. In my earpiece, I screamed one word. "Run, run with all your might." My heart felt like it would explode, my body numb, only my will remained. She stumbled in the darkness, falling and getting back up. The killer chased after her, his voice cold and full of amusement. "Running fast, aren't you?" The little girl hid behind a warehouse door, her back pressed against the wall, her throat burning. She covered her mouth, holding her breath until the footsteps faded before she dared to breathe again. "He's gone downstairs. What do I do now?" Before she opened the door, I instructed her. "You need to distract him. Leave one of your shoes at a turn or on the stairs so he pursues the wrong way." The little girl threw a shoe, then turned and ran. She fell countless times, getting back up each time, blood soaking through her tattered clothes. "You're doing great," I encouraged her. On the phone, Grace said her mom used to be a dispatcher too and taught her survival tips. "Sis, I can make it home." "Sis, please tell Mom I tried my best." Wait, Grace's mom used to be a dispatcher too? My mind exploded with questions. Before I could think deeply, the signal cut out. When the connection returned, a horrifying scream echoed in both their ears. The little girl frantically reconnected the line, unaware the killer had returned. "Aha!" The man grabbed the girl's hair, dragging her out, slamming her head against the wall. "Clever girl, you almost fooled me. Too bad you smell of blood." He had discovered the bloodstains from her bare feet. "I hear you're an honors student, destined for Tsinghua or Beta. If I break both your arms, can you still take the exam?" The little girl crumpled, writhing on the ground, weakly pleading, "Uncle, please spare me. My family will pay any amount to thank you." He coldly broke both her wrists. Grace's silent scream echoed through the phone. My chest tightened in pain. The killer picked up the dropped phone, greeting me as if nothing had happened. "Officer Lin, what a coincidence, it's you again." His mocking, cold tone was identical to 8 years ago. "No coincidence, I've been waiting for you for 8 years, I replied, suppressing my rage. "I've always waited for this day to atone for Daisy." The killer scoffed disdainfully through the phone. "You've been tracking me closely. I hear you're married and have a lovely daughter. Doesn't seeing your own family make you feel any remorse? You're the one who ruined Daisy's life." He painted a cruel scenario, intending to provoke me and make me lose focus. But these words were ones I tormented myself with every day. I had punished myself 1,000 times over so he couldn't touch me. My voice was ice cold. "Do we know each other? No, so why do you bear such animosity towards me? What does killing Grace gain you? Talk to me, perhaps I can help." "Haha, you're buying time." He stomped on the girl's hand, raising a hammer high, thinking I would fall for it. Grace squeezed her eyes shut in despair. The police were coming, but even if they arrived, how would they find her in the vast industrial complex? Blood spilled onto the floor, but in that moment she awaited death, she heard the distinct wail of police sirens. It wasn't an illusion. The sirens cut through the rain, growing closer. The killer startled, turning to the window. In the downpour, blue and red lights flashed directly below the building. "No way, how are they so fast?" He froze, then understood. "You tricked me, the 17 minutes was a lie." "Indeed," I said with a cold smile, "it was a lie, we're faster than you think." When Daisy called for help, I heard every word clearly. "He showed no fear or despair, did he? It's the same now. I've been eavesdropping on your conversation with Grace. Why would you lie? Now let Grace go and surrender." The killer fled. Grace was saved. At the hospital, Captain Fang exclaimed, "Good thing you blared the siren to scare him off. From here to Grace, it only takes a few minutes to rescue her." I took a gamble too. Every step was a risk. I just bet he was desperate to survive. I pressed a hot coffee cup against my throbbing temple. Captain Fang asked, "The industrial park has 17 to 18 factories. How did you pinpoint the exact location?" "By sound," I said with a tired smile. When Grace struggled with him, I heard the sound of a metal hook hitting the wall. Industrial hooks are very large and heavy. That hook would be especially heavy when loaded with meat. I deduced it was a food processing plant. The hospital corridor was quiet. Captain Fang looked around to make sure no one was there, then sat down beside me. "Work is over. Let's not be formal as husband and wife anymore." Come here, Officer Lin, let me lean on you for a bit. Today. No, you've worked so hard all these years. The rain poured outside the window, my uniform was soaked. That was good, no one would see me cry. I'm scared, Fang Wu, I whispered. There were moments I was truly terrified, he murmured. No one knew the horror behind my confident exterior. I was afraid of missing clues, afraid of tragedy repeating itself, afraid I wasn't strong enough, not worthy of confronting death. I buried my face in his shoulder, my body trembling, nerves stretched taut like guitar strings about to snap, finally able to release. The incessant roar of the rain made me break down, sobbing, sighing. This time I saved the little girl. Finally, after all these years, no one understood me except for Fang Wu, the anomaly. From the moment we met, he brought me decades-old cold cases, some unsolved for 20 or 30 years, saying, as long as we don't give up, the truth will come to light. If the police give up, what hope do victims' families have? People went on dates, watched movies, traveled. We only looked at case files and trained together. I spent entire days training my auditory senses, tiptoeing step by step to perfectly coordinate. He used the excuse of testing my investigative skills to patiently steal a kiss in a hidden corner. At weddings, people wished each other 100 years of happiness. He promised me that 8 or 10 years was just the beginning. He would wait with me. We did it. Daisy's soul and her mother's must be smiling in the afterlife. Fang Wu continued the pursuit. I went home to my child. As I was engrossed in writing a report, my daughter played with her new electronic watch. It vibrated repeatedly, distracting me. Mom, my teacher said we have to stand up and move after sitting for 20 minutes. My daughter excitedly showed off. I set the timer and it goes off perfectly, Mom. I looked up. A flash of insight hit me. For years I had pondered that call. Had I missed any clues? What was that consistent vibration and click at the 120-second mark of the call? I believe the devil hides in the smallest details, in gaps we never expected. Now, I finally seemed to grasp it. It was about that rescue call from 8 years ago. I immediately called Fang Wu, spread the word that Grace has woken up, and make sure to emphasize that she is in excellent condition, about to be discharged to reunite with her family. In the middle of the night, in the hospital room, the door silently opened. A nurse entered, gently pulling back a corner of the blanket. As she pulled out a syringe, preparing to inject it into her skin, a shadow leaped from behind the curtains. Zhang Linhua was tackled to the ground before she could react, and police hiding in the next room swarmed in. I held the culprit tight, tearing off her mask. It was Daisy's stepmother. 8 years ago, when I asked Daisy if her parents were there, the child excitedly replied, "Yes, right here." In Daisy's eyes, her stepmother was closer than even her parents. At 11:45 p.m., the killer usually took the child to the restroom, using a special timer watch. The vibration and pause during the call were when the killer turned off the device. Because we were talking on the phone, we had assumed the killer was a man. But what if there were 2 accomplices? I always wondered why the killer always allowed victims a chance to call for help before acting. When Grace mentioned her mother used to be a dispatcher, I understood everything. "Police, I'm innocent," Zhang Linhua wailed in anguish in the interrogation room. "I'm working the night shift tonight because a colleague is sick. If I hadn't been late." Captain Fang pushed a photo across. "Is this your daughter? Years ago, this little girl needed emergency help, but you irresponsibly abandoned her." I played the recording, the little girl's breathless voice. "Auntie, my head hurts so much, but you scolded her for faking it." That mother was Grace's mother. My voice was choked with bitterness. "You kidnapped Grace for revenge, but what did Daisy ever do? 21 wounds on her body, you beat that child mercilessly and even used false information to incite cyberbullying." "What the hell do you know?" Zhang Linhua screamed, her face contorted with hatred. "If it weren't for her disabled child, my daughter wouldn't have died." As she confessed to the crime, a sinister smile spread across her face. "But have you tested it thoroughly?" The test results showed the syringe contained only saline. A chill ran down my spine. "You're distracting us. The real poison was flushed down the drain when you went to the restroom." Zhang Linhua smirked. "Any more questions, officers?" Just then, Fang Wu rushed in. Her husband committed suicide, leaving a confession letter. I trembled. Has the handwriting been verified? Suicide or murder? It was suicide. He even recorded a video. Zhang Linhua covered her mouth, feigning disbelief and tears. Of course, I knew this was their implicit agreement, sacrificing one to save the other. This woman arrogantly strode past me. I clenched my fists, fury burning in my chest, almost swallowing my reason. She is the mastermind, the one who killed Daisy. We all know it, but where's the evidence? As she reached the door, my phone vibrated. As if on cue, I blocked her path, enunciating each word. Ang Linhua, you are under arrest for the kidnapping and murder of Zhang Yinhe 8 years ago. The atmosphere was tense as a violin string. Zhang Linhua gave a faint smile. You're arresting someone without evidence? I'll sue. Under the bright electric lights, I said. The evidence? The timer watch you used to time the two of you has Daisy's blood on it. Her smile vanished. We found the watch in the kindergarten storage room. You wiped the surface clean, but the blood had seeped into the crevices. DNA analysis matched Yinhe's. Faced with this evidence, Zhang Linhua bowed her head and confessed. The first victim was Daisy's mother. Because of her, I was 20 minutes late. The child lay cold next to the phone, but her parents showed no remorse. One day during a power outage, she lured Daisy. Teacher will take you to play, okay? Innocent Daisy walked out to the reservoir. When her husband hesitated, she snatched the hammer. The child is dead, who would mourn her? The hammer blows descended, Daisy's eyes wide open. The second victim was Grace's mother, the female dispatcher. They were only fired while we couldn't enjoy happiness. Zhang Linhua had stalked the mother and daughter, once intending to accelerate and crash into them, but she wanted more drama. The happier they were, the more painful the collapse would be. Before going to prison, Zhang Linhua requested to see me. I've waited for you for 8 years, she said. If that child had met someone like you back then, she burst into tears, she would have had a chance to live. Grace woke up after a few days, having to postpone her college entrance exams. I went alone to Daisy's grave. The photo showed an angelic child with pigtails, smiling brightly. The wind rustled through the wildflowers like a whisper. Sis, I want to go home, I smiled. Yes, I'll take you home.